Remember, it all began in the US. Last week, two American banks collapsed, the Silicon Valley Bank and the Signature Bank. And it's not over yet. One more American bank could be on the brink. It's called the First Republic Bank. It is based in San Francisco. It is worth almost $6 billion. The bank has around 6,300 employees and several high-profile customers. But First Republic may not have enough money. Leading ratings agencies have downgraded this bank. We're talking about S&P Global and Fitch. They have downgraded the bank and now rate it as junk. You may ask why. Why was the bank tagged as junk? Same reason as before. Ratings agencies feel the bank could face a cash crunch, that depositors would want to pull their money out and the bank may not have enough to give them. Which is exactly what happened at the Silicon Valley Bank. There was a bank run. Depositors rushed to withdraw cash. The bank was not liquid enough, meaning it did not have enough free cash. That's because the deposits were tied up in government bonds and their value had decreased. With First Republic, we could see a repeat of this. Experts are flashing the same warning signs again. First Republic stock price has fluctuated in the past week. At one point, it was down by over 60%. Reports say First Republic is now looking at its options. It could try to raise cash to improve liquidity. It could even look to sell the bank. And these are extreme measures. They give an indication of how much trouble the bank could be in. And this may not be a unique case.
First Republic Bank is not the first canary in the mine, but there are canaries that are now feed up, and those include things like Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, and lots of worry about Credit Suisse, a storied financial institution.
Let me rephrase what he's saying. There are many banks in trouble, some more than the others. We've already told you about Credit Suisse. So who else is in trouble? Credit ratings agency Moody's has released a list. It includes Western Alliance Bank Corp, Intrust Financial Corp, UMB Financial Corp, Zions Bank Corp, and Comerica Inc. All these banks are said to be unhealthy. What is their problem? Uninsured deposits of customers and unrealized losses, meaning potential losses. They're still on the books of these banks. And this is just one list. The crisis could be bigger than it appears right now. And I'll tell you why I say this. American banks recently made some filings, and this is what they show. Major banks have taken some serious losses. I have some numbers. 160 major American banks have lost at least $206 billion. These are banks with more than $5 billion in assets. Every bank on this list has assets worth over $5 billion. Again, these are unrealized losses, meaning the banks continue to own these loss-making assets. They haven't been sold yet, but their value has gone down. So if they're sold today, the banks will suffer a loss. And how did these losses happen? Courtesy the US government. These are mostly government securities, US treasuries we're talking about. These are bonds that the government issues. We've discussed this before on the show. Banks park their cash deposits in government bonds. It is considered a safe investment. The calculation is that when you sell these bonds, you will make more money. But in this case, the value of US government bonds has gone down. How? Last year, the US Treasury hiked interest rates. They issued new bonds. They offered a higher interest rate. So the old bonds lost their value. And these banks that we're talking about have old bonds. Now they're trading in the red. For some banks like Silicon Valley, the losses were simply too big. Silicon Valley lost almost $2 billion on a single sale. The bank needed this money to pay back depositors. It sold bonds for losses. So other depositors got worried. They came to take their cash. The bank did not have that cash, so it collapsed. And this fall had a cascading effect. America's biggest banks have seen losses. All of them have lost money in US government bonds. Citigroup lost $47 billion. Bank of America, $21.2 billion. JP Morgan Chase, $17.3 billion. Truist Financial lost $13.6 billion. Wells Fargo, $13.4 billion. And US Bancorp, $11.4 billion. These losses are as per the last round of filings. The present value of these assets could be different, but the situation is unlikely to have changed significantly. And these are big banks we're talking about. They can take such losses. The smaller ones would not survive something like this. Their fate is yet to be decided. The question is, who is responsible for this crisis? How did this happen? Some experts blame the US Federal Reserve for this. The US Federal Reserve is America's central bank. They say the US Fed has cracked the financial system.
The Fed is in a tough position. Bank runs are pretty quick. The Fed has limited tools to deal with inflation, and they've been using a wrecking ball, not a scaffold.
Instead of a scalpel, they used a wrecking ball. Sounds a lot like America. And now they're suffering and making the world suffer with them.
Hey, Seth. Getting ready to roll?
This will be a simple up. On my mark, 3, 2.
Shalom, that was another report relating to American banks fighting for survival. First post. I was talking about 160 banks, over 200 billion losses. Various banks, Trust Bank, Wells Fargo, Citicorp, different banks between ranges from 13, 14 billion. So 160 banks. Let me see if I get it. The numbers.
This will be a simple
Shalom.
up. On my mark, 3, 2, 1.
I'll give you some of them numbers she said in the report. Let me see here. Here we go. Citicorp, for example, 47 billion, 21.2 billion. Citicorp, Citibank, Bank of America, 21.2 billion. JP Morgan, 17.3 billion. And Trust Bank, 13.6 billion. Wells Fargo, 13.4. Then you got US Bancorp, 11.4 billion. And plus the SPG Proctor downgrade, Moody downgraded the bank as pretty much a negative because of the relating to the bank crisis and practices relating to the bank and the situation that's going on with the banking crisis. And this is spiraling down to where it's trickling down, these various banks, man. So the numbers there you seeing is proof, man. Look at that. 160 major banks lost 206 billion, for example. So this is a trickle domino effect, man. So this is relating to let me see, because of the SVB Bank and the Signature Bank and also One Republic Bank, various other banks last week triggered a flurry of concerns of the health of the banking system, man. And that's why relating to that on the Moody, the downgrade, a negative, man, because they see potential relating to a contagion happen, a financial contagion. It's going to spread, man. Get let me see, something short. That was off of a first post Vantage report, and let me see. Let me get a scripture real quick. We'll go to Isaiah. Isaiah 14. Go to number 12. Here we go. All they that speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp, which is pretty much a pomp, is a splendid display, is brought down to the ground, which is the grave, to the ground. In the house, the noise of the vials, and the worm is spread under thee. The worms relates to the decay, man. And the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen, O heaven, O Lucifer? And the Lucifer relates to the ones in the position of power on earth, man. The light bearers on the left-hand side, which relates to the ones, which is pretty much the wise ones in wickedness, man, and unrighteousness, man. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, the son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations, man? For thou hast said in thy heart, which is mine, I will ascend into heaven, and I will exalt my throne. Because remember, he's trying to be like a god, man. The counterpart on earth, man. The one who's in the position of power. The earth has been given to the hands of the wicked, man. I'm talking about those, you know, who in the position of power, the ones who are the 1% that run pretty much 99% of the earth, man. That's the one I'm talking about. They are trying to be godlike, man. For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, and I will set also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High, because their goal is to be like a god, man. Go to that word megalomaniac. Pretty much a godlike complex, man. They have a very like godlike complex, man, because they're trying to be like God, but they're doing it through the means and through the means and venues of technology and artificialism, man. You know what I mean? Pretty much, you know, artificial ways, man. You know. Go number 15. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell in the sides of the pits. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the whole earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms? And that relates to ones in a position of power, man. You know what I mean? Because you do have people on earth that run everything. You know what I mean? You have you have people that on a high level that run everything on earth, man. They control everything. You know, whether people want to believe it or not. That, like I said, you control the money, you control the world, man. Who controls the money and controls the world? The ones who are in the position of power, man. They dictate what all the 99% do, man. You know what I mean? So whether people want to believe it or not, they laugh at it, mock it, or scoff it. That's the truth, man. Read that again. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the whole earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms? I'm going to get Daniel 7:17, man. Give you an example. 'Let me make sure it's the right one. Let me say, hold on, let me check that again. .417, Shalak, 417. You can go to Job 30:8 too. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the words of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and give it to whomsoever he will, and set up over it the basis of men. So the basis of men is the ones in a position of power. You know what I mean? They're the ones that run in the earth, man, because that's the ones that the Lord put in a position of power, man. He put the basis is the lowest individual, but he's in a position of power, man. You know, the scripture talks about, let me go to that. They were children of the fools and children of base men. They were viler than the earth. That's the one. That's the ones in the position of power on earth, man. They the lowest. They the vilest. The Lord allowed them to be in a position of earth, man, because he put them in a position of earth. They're the ones that's running the earth, man. So like I said, from a carnal aspect, you have the Lord has people that's running the earth. You know what I mean? That are controlled. They control the money. They control everything, man. Because the power and the resources and the means were given to them, man. Proverbs 21:1. Get that one. Something short. This is Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart, which is the mind, is in the hands of the Lord. So who controls the king's heart, which is his mind? The Lord. As the rivers of the water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So he controls, being he controls the heart of the mind of that king, he can make him do as he pleases, man. You know what I mean? So in the Lord, for just as a lesson for these other nations, and specifically for the nation of Israel, he put the lowest and the basis of man in a position of power, man, to prove his point, man, as a lesson to the nation of Israel especially, and also to, you know, to these other nations, and to prove that he could do what he wants. So he put the lowest and the basis of man in a position of power to prove for the Lord to prove his point, man, because he can do that, man. You know. Now going back to that video, talks about the banking crisis, man. Let me get that word domino effect, man. Domino effect. Because that's what you're seeing relating to this bank crisis, man. This is people's money, man. So this is something to pay attention to, man. What is meant by the domino effect? A situation in which usually something bad happens, causing other similar events to happen, causing things to happen, man. So that's what that is, man. So one situation happening, then afterwards a row of similar things happen after that, man. Pretty much one domino being pushed down where the others also follow, man. And it's starting with that one, and eventually the others will follow after that suit. So for example, the banking crisis, you seeing different banks having trouble, 2 or 3. Next is going to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it's going to increase on 50 to 100 and so forth and so forth. So that's the domino effect. It starts with one where the others will follow suit, man. This is not conspiracy theory. It's pretty much telling you, you know what I mean? But it's kind of funny. These people in the world, man, they kind of like in the bubble of blindness, man, in gross darkness, man. You know what I mean? But they don't see, you know, until they actually, when that bubble bursts and reality smacks them and hits them up the face. Then but that's another lesson. But this was just something. We'll read that again. The situation in which usually something bad happens, man. So something that's bad that's going to happen, causing other similar events to happen. Similar events, man. For example, of that, this bank crisis, man. So it starts off with one, then many other are going to continue on in similar manner, man. Causing things to happen. That's what you're seeing. That's the domino effect, man.
I'm done with this. Oh my God.
Here we go. Right here. The domino effect, or a chain reaction and a cumulative effect produced when one event sets off a chain of similar events. Like I said, see that one falling, and the rest going to follow suit. And that's how you're seeing it right here, man. And that's how it's going to be, man. As a kid, I used to play dominoes. See all that? It takes one, they all fall down, man. And that's how you seeing the precursors economically and financially happen. One falls, they all fall, man. Just like the kingdom, man. So going back to that, the domino effect, a domino effect or a chain reaction is the cumulative effect produced when one event sets off a chain or similar events. This term is best known as a mechanical effect and is used as an analogy to the falling row of dominoes, man. What you're seeing here, symbolically, is a man trying to be a backstop to reinforce that domino from completely falling, man. The backstop is a form of reinforcement, or you know, to try to, you know, to reinforce that the stability, that's something that's already unstable already, man. So he's trying to hold where that last one don't fall completely, symbolically. This is something that's relating to that, something quick. Hope this helps. This is Zayah Wolf. I hope this helps in some way. I want to give all praise Yahweh Bashim Yoshua Bashim Rakakadash. This is Zayah Wolf. Shalom. Thanks.